Hello, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how I made this little Kleenex holder. And you can take the belly band off and you can get a Kleenex. And I also made it so whoever you give it to can refill it. So let's get started. First you're going to need a piece of 8.5 by 8.5 cardstock. This is Melon Mambo, which is one of the current in colors. And on one side, you're going to score it at 3/4 to 6.5 and 7 3/4. Then you're going to turn it around and score it at 1 1.25, 3 3/4, 5 and 7.5. Next, we're going to have to cut this to get the shape for our box. And since you can't see the score lines very well, I went ahead and sketched it out on a piece of paper and shaded in the pieces that you're going to cut out. So if you look at your cardstock, you'll see that you'll have 3/4 of an inch scored in on each side, on one side. And on the other side, you'll have, they look almost even, but one side is a little bit bigger. You'll want this piece that's a little bit bigger to be on the top and the 3/4 inch ones on the side. And you'll cut out these pieces here and these big pieces right here. Okay, so now I have all of the extra pieces cut out. And now I need to make a couple of slits for so that you can stick the box together and so it'll hold together. So I'm going to cut a slit from up here to the first score line here, which it's probably easier to show you here. From this down to here, this to here, then on the bottom, this to here, and this to here. So now I have the basic shape, and then I have these two tabs right here. Now this tab up here, these tabs up here are a little bit bigger than these, and I found that it works out a little bit better if you trim off about 1/4 of an inch off of each of these tabs. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of eyeball it. And trim this. So now you can go ahead and fold in all your score lines. Okay. And you can kind of see how it's starting to take shape. And I know that I'm going to want this side to be the front. See how the back has this flap and you can see the seam? I want this to be the front. So I'm going to open it up, and in that little corner that's going to be the front of it, I'm going to fold in half. And I'm going to take the wide oval punch and just kind of center it and about halfway in. Punch. Okay. So then I can kind of put it back together and you can see how it's starting to look like that. So I wanted to make it refillable, so I picked on one side, right here, punched a little half circle so that you could have kind of a hole to grab onto to open it. So I take this one side, fold this over, and take a 3/4 of an inch circle punch and just go a little bit in and try to center it. Punch. Something else I also found was that when you have it together and you open and close it, it makes it a little bit easier if all of these corners are rounded like this. So take a corner rounder and just round those. So at this point, you could go ahead and put this together and decorate it however you want. However, if you want to put a piece of designer paper around it, I would not put the box together yet. I learned this the hard way. If you put the paper on, if you put the box together and then put the paper, designer paper around it, you're going to have a hard time cutting out this hole. So the way I found to do that, anyway, so if you want to cover your box with designer series paper, think about which side is going to be the bottom, and kind of just loosely wrap it over so you know where the spot is where you're going to need to cut the hole. So I know my hole's in here somewhere, so I'm going to try to just line this up and just pinch it. So I know this is about the right measurement where I need to punch my hole. Now to line it up exactly right, this is the outside. I'm going to put it on the inside of the box. Kind of line it up to where it's in the center. And fold this over. So now you see exactly what you need to punch. So take your wide oval, punch again. Come in here. And punch that up. So now, when you go to put this paper on the outside, you have a hole. So now we can go ahead and start putting the box together. And I tried to use snail adhesive first when I first made this box, and it did not hold together. So I'd really recommend using some sticky strip. And you're going to put adhesive on this tab. Not the side that opens and closes, but this other side. This tab, and this little tab over here. So you've got it on these 3 tabs. Then you want to flip it over and put adhesive right up here. Okay, so now that I have the sticky strip up here and on these 3 tabs, we can put the box together. So go ahead and remove the paper from these. And before I remove this piece up here, I'm going to go ahead and start to put it together. So on this side, just kind of line up. It's kind of hard to do because I want you to be able to see, but just line up the corners so that there's a smooth seam right there. And on this side, line it up. And there's a little piece that sticks up here. Don't worry about that because it's gonna be covered. So at this point, you can go ahead and take off this piece up here. The only reason I didn't take it off earlier is because sticky strip is really sticky, and if it gets stuck to any other part of your project, you've pretty much ruined. It won't come off. So go ahead and tuck both of these sides in. And worry more about this side, not so much about this side. And line up the edges. And you have to kind of pull tight. I notice on some of these, it doesn't really want to wrap around here exactly right, and on some of them it does. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but just kind of pull tight so that all the lines match up. And then just worry about first this edge over here. And I worry more about getting this edge straight than down here because we're going to cover most of that up. And then match this over here.